Okay, the people have indicated which witness would likely be called as preliminary examination. The people have also indicated they would be introducing either the preliminary analysis or the scientific report indicating that the controlled substance or the analysis of the controlled substance to make a determination if it is in fact a controlled substance. There are no other records, reports, stipulations, requests, or motions indicated upon the form that would be offered by either party. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The date for the preliminary examination July 2nd. Does that create a conflict for anyone?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. Mr. White, Mr. White, you do have a statutory right to appeal the examination. You're scheduled for July the 2nd. We'll see you back on that date. Bond is continued. This matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Are we ready on any other cases? Are we ready on the Smith case?
Yes.
Okay, just let me get the defendant.
Calling case 1557895, People of the State of Michigan versus Mr. Virgil Smith. Mr. Smith is charged with 4 counts. Count 1, malicious destruction of personal property, $20,000 or more, punishable by a maximum of 10 years. Count 2, assault with a dangerous weapon, punishable by a maximum of 4 years and for $2,000. Count 3, weapons, felony firearm, mandatory 2 years, consecutively and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for a felony or attempted felony conviction. Mr. Smith is also charged with 1 count of domestic violence as a 93-day misdemeanor, not subject to a preliminary examination. Today is the date and time scheduled for the preliminary examination. Appearances, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lisa Lindsay on behalf of the people of the state of Michigan, P number 39570.
Good morning, Your Honor. Dr. Dillard appearing on behalf of the defendant, Mr. Smith, P number 22802.
Very well.
The people's witnesses have been sequestered.
The defense witnesses have been sequestered.
Very well. I
Prior
will give the sequestration motion just in case there's anyone else in the courtroom. Do you have an officer in charge? Are you asking for any exception to the sequestration order?
Yes, Your Honor. Stand up and give your names.
Detective Jeffrey Williams.
Okay, you're going to have to use more weight than that.
Yes.
Detective Jeffrey Williams.
Thank you. Mr. Dillard, is there an objection to the officer in charge remaining in the courtroom?
No, Your Honor.
Now, you had 2 officers
Yes.
stand up. You have co-officer in charge?
Yes.
Okay, your name, sir.
Investigator Michael Jameson.
Jameson?
Yes, sir.
Very well. No objection to the...
No, Your Honor.
Let me ask you, did I give you my copy with the names on there? Let me just make sure I can't see my... Okay.
If there is anyone else in the courtroom that will testify on this matter or has anything to offer by way of testimony, or anyone that was present at the location of 18601 Wexford in the city of Detroit on the date of May the 10th of this year, 2015, if you were present for this incident, that would cause you a witness even though you may not believe that you are. Again, or if you have anything to testify to or anything to offer by way of testimony, please step from the courtroom. Should you remain in the courtroom, listen to the testimony of other witnesses. You may be barred from testifying at any time. Seeing no one leaving, people indicated they have sequestered their witnesses. Defense has also. Any other preliminary matters?
Yes, Your Honor. I believe counsel heard the preliminary examination, examination conference stipulates to the estimate on the value of the vehicle, which was a 2015 Mercedes-Benz.
So stipulated for the purpose of exam only.
Your Honor, based on the review of the damages to the vehicle, the company had determined the vehicle was a total loss, and the total value is $34,586.64. People will call their first witness.
Before we do that, ladies and gentlemen of the trust, there's going to be a number of witnesses called today. I have no idea how many. I am indicating that you cannot show the faces of the witnesses. You can film from the head down or the neck down, or you can bubble out or obscure the face. No problem with the voices, but do not show the faces of the witnesses. I do understand that one person, I believe it's the complainant in the case, has made a press conference, so that person has already been exposed to the press, and he's free to show the complainant's face.
The people are calling Michael White.
Before you sit down, sir, your name for the court? Michael White. Raise your right hand. State your full name. Michael White. Swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. You have secret witness here, sir. Your witness.
Sir, I'd like to direct your attention back to the date of May 10th, 2015, approximately 1 in the morning. Were you on Wexford Street?
Yes.
Okay. And that is that in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And do you know Virgil Smith, Jr.?
Yes.
Do you see him seated anywhere in this courtroom?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you point him out and tell me what he's wearing?
Gentleman right there in the brown suit, I think that's brown.
Indicating for the record the witness has identified the person of the defendant.
Yes.
In the early morning...
One second. So you're going to have to project your voice more, or when the deputies help adjust the microphone, you're going to have to speak directly to the court microphone. I know there's some other microphones there that are from the press, but you're going to have to, it has to be a little bit closer and speak directly.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Now, you live on Wexford Street?
Yes.
And do you recognize the defendant from likewise living on Wexford Street?
Yes.
Okay. How far is your house from his house?
It's across the street, one house over.
Okay. In those early morning hours, did you hear something that caused you some concern?
Yes.
Could you tell me what it was that you heard?
Well, first, I was on the couch sleep. I woke up, I heard something that sounded like somebody running. And then, I heard shots, and I hit the floor.
Okay, now let me stop you there. You indicated you heard a series of shots.
Yeah.
Approximately how many shots did you hear?
Oh, God, I don't know, maybe 8, 10.
Okay. And did they sound like they were relatively close?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you hit the floor.
Yes.
The sound of the gunshots were so close that you thought you were in danger of being hit?
Objection, let's leave.
Okay, I'll rephrase. Why is it that you hit the floor when you heard those gunshots?
Because they sounded close.
They sounded close. And what did you do after the gunshot stopped?
I looked out the window to see, kind of peeked to see what was going on. I heard my wife running around upstairs. I guess she was looking out the window as well.
And did you make any observations when you were looking out of the window?
At one point, I mean, I'm up and I'm peeking in and out of the window. At one point, I saw a white car pulling in the driveway across the street, directly across the street from me, a white SUV. And at one point, it just pulled in the driveway. It sat there for a second. When I looked out again, it was backing out, and it went south on Wexford.
Did you ever see Mr. Smith in the time period after you heard the gunshots?
Yes.
And where was it that you saw him?
Walking down the street. I went outside at one point because my wife said something was going on down at
Objection.
At some point, let me just stop you there. Your wife told you something, is that correct?
Yes.
And that caused you to look out?
That caused me to go outside.
Okay. And is that when you made the observation of Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see Mr. Smith walking in any particular direction?
He was walking south on Wexford.
And is that significant to you at all?
I was worried that there was a problem at my stepson's house. He lives on the corner of Wexford.
And your stepson, his name is?
Carlos Cade.
And do you know whether or not Mr. Smith and Mr. Cade are friends?
Yes.
They are friends.
Yes.
So when you saw Mr. Virgil Smith, was he walking toward the direction of your stepson's house, Carlos Cade?
No, he was walking from that direction.
Okay. And did Mr. Smith address you at all, or did he say anything to you?
Well, I asked him if everything was all right.
You asked him if everything was all right, and you were able to observe him?
Yes.
What did he say at that point in time?
Domestic violence.
He said domestic violence, and what else did he say?
I shot, I put so many bullets in her car, it won't start.
Okay. And did he ever indicate whose car he was talking about?
I believe he said my ex-wife.
Objection is what he believes. That either you heard whose car he was talking about, or he didn't.
Your Honor, that's a figure of speech that people use.
It certainly is. You can rephrase the question.
Okay.
You can inquire into it.
Sir,
Certainly people do that all the time.
Okay. Sir, when you say, I believe, he said, was that just a figure of speech you're using?
Yes, figure of speech.
Okay. So he said he shot at his ex-wife's car.
Objection. He didn't say that, Your Honor.
He did.
He just said, I believe, and then she came back and led him.
No, she didn't, counsel. She came back and said, he said it, but he prefaced it before with, I believe. She came back and he said that is just a figure of speech. So the balance of what he said is not, it's not like it wasn't never said. He said it. People say all the time, I believe when they know. It's just, it is a figure of speech. And he indicated that.
So he said it was his ex-wife's car?
Yes.
Okay. So the sum of total, what he told you is when you said, is everything all right? He said domestic violence. I shot at her car so many times it won't start.
Right.
At that point in time, did he ever say, help me, call the police, or anything of that nature?
That's leading, Judge.
No, I'm asking him specifically, did he say these things?
What answer was suggested, counsel?
See that did he help? Leading was help you, or?
No, the answer could be yes, the answer could be no, the answer could be I don't know. If a person asks a direct or pointed question, which cuts down on confusion, doesn't make it leading. It would have been direct if she said, and this happened, didn't it? That would be the leading. If or what does not make it leading because you frame the question in such a way that the person is not confused as to what you're asking.
Thank you. Did he ever ask you to call the police?
No.
Did he ever ask you for help?
No.
Nothing further of this witness.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. White.
Good morning.
Now, am I correct that I heard you just now testify on direct examination that prior to hearing a series of shots, you heard someone running?
That's what it sounded like.
Okay. Now, did you have a chance to see the person who was running?
No, what happened, I'm laying on the couch, right, I'm asleep.
Well, just help you with the question. Did you see the person running?
No.
Okay. But the running noise that you heard was prior to you hearing the shots?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, and you also said that you did not see a weapon in Mr. Smith's hands?
Right.
At no time that evening?
No.
Now, would you testified also that you heard Mr. Smith say that, use the words domestic violence?
Yes.
Did he say to you who was committing domestic violence?
No.
Did he say he had committed domestic violence?
No.
Now, you also testified that he made some reference to the car being shot.
Yes.
And he prefaced by that is he said that he shot the car up so that it would not start.
Yes.
Now, he never said he fired any shots at anyone, did he?
No.
he never mentioned that he fired shots at his ex-wife, did he?
No.
Now, when you saw him walking down the street, was he naked?
No.
Did he have clothes on?
Yes.
Do you recall what kind of clothes he had on?
Dark t-shirt, dark sweatpants, look like.
And can you tell me approximately, sir, how much time after the series of shots did you see Mr. Smith walking outside?
Oh, 5 minutes or so.
Now, did you ever have a chance to actually walk up on Mr. Smith and look at him closely?
May have been as far as we are right now.
So you were not able to notice any injuries that Mr. Smith may have sustained?
No.
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Well,
First, let's step back. The witness made a testify as to a distance which the record will not be able to see. He said the distance from me to you.
Correct.
So first we have to put that on the record so we have an understanding of the record will accurately reflect what that distance is. Now, there are some measurements that are on the floor that will show you approximately what the distance is in a lateral way from the witness, and you can make some determination.
Mr. White, if you would look at the corner down here, can you see that number on the blue? It says 4.
Yes.
You can do that. He's already said how far he
Okay.
from you to him.
Okay.
And all you have to do is agree on what that distance
Okay.
is.
Would you, looking at the measurements, say he was approximately 10 feet from you?
10, 15
Okay.
feet, yeah.
All right. Now, were you able to observe whether or not he had any injuries?
No.
At any occasion, any time during the evening, did you have an opportunity to see a person by the name of Anestia Thomas?
No.
During that evening, did you have an opportunity to see any female walking in that area?
No.
During that evening, did you have an opportunity to see your son walking in that area?
No.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, did Mr. Smith indicate to you in any way that he needed any type of medical treatment?
No.
Did Mr. Smith indicate to you in any way that he had been injured?
No.
Did Mr. Smith indicate anything other than domestic violence? I shot at the car so many times it won't start.
That was it.
Nothing further.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
You may step down, sir. Is this be released?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
You're free to go, Mr. Smith. Mr. White. Speak directly into the microphone.
Sir, could you state your name, please?
Carlos Cade?
And do you stay on Wexford Street?
Yes, I do.
And from your house on Wexford Street, can you see the house of Mr. Virgil Smith?
Yes, I can.
And does he also likewise live on Wexford?
Yes, he does.
What is the distance between his house and your house?
The left of the block. He stays on one corner, I stay on the opposite corner.
And you are friends with Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And you socialize with him?
Yes.
Now I'm going to direct your attention back to the the early morning hours of May 10th, 2015, around 1 in the morning. Did something unusual happen?
Yeah.
Prior to what was unusual happening, did you hear some gunshots?
Yes.
Approximately how many gunshots did you hear?
Like 5, maybe.
You said you heard about 5.
I didn't keep track. It's not uncommon where.
Okay, but you did hear gunshots.
Yes.
Now let me just ask you, through your friendship with Mr. Smith, do you know him to own weapons?
I know he has a gun.
Okay. Do you know him to have some type of assault rifle?
No.
And what type of gun do you know him to have?
Grandfather's rifle, I think, an old rifle.
Okay. And you're saying at this point he's never shown you or told you anything about having a assault rifle?
No.
And you're saying that under oath?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me just backtrack a little bit. You gave a statement to the police, is that correct?
Yes.
And the police made several efforts to take an additional statement from you, is that correct?
Yes.
And you never complied with coming to the police and giving them an additional statement, is that correct?
Correct.
After you heard the gunshots, what happens next?
Maybe like 15, 20 minutes later, I get we hear a knock on the door.
And is that your estimate of time?
Roughly. It's movie night. We were drinking and watching movies.
You were drinking and watching movies?
Yeah.
Okay. So you didn't time it, that's just your estimation of time, is that correct?
Yeah, guesstimation.
A guesstimation.
Yeah.
And did something happen after you heard the gunshots?
Heard a knock at the door.
Okay.
Got up.
And what happened?
Looked out the window. Saw this year. Figured her and Virgil were coming back in from hanging out. Opened up the door. It was just her.
Now let me stop you there. You said Anistia? That's
The ex-wife.
okay, the ex-wife, Virgil Smith's ex-wife. And you had met her on previous occasions?
Yes.
And you had socialized with her and Mr. Smith?
Yes.
You had been to their house, they had been to your house?
I've been with her at his house, yes. I've
Okay.
not been to her house.
Okay. And she was at the door, and she was by herself.
Yes.
Could you tell at that point whether you saw any injuries?
Not that she stepped in.
Okay. And she did in fact step in?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did you see at that point in time?
She had a smudge on the side of her lip, and she was showing us her hands.
And when you say smudge, what kind of smudge?
Looked like it could have been blood.
Okay. And did you indicate in your statement to the police, first of all, when you gave your statement to the police, were you trying to be truthful?
Yes.
Okay. And did you indicate to the police that she had a blood smear on the left side of her face?
Yes, on the left side.
And she asked to clean up?
Yes.
Okay. And you saw injuries where else?
On her knuckles.
And did you see any injuries anyplace else?
No.
Now, she asked to come in to clean up, is that correct?
Yes, she asked to come in, and we insisted that she went to clean up.
Okay. Now, at some point in time after that, did you see Virgil Smith?
Not till after she left.
Okay. And let me get the sequence of her leaving. At some point in time when she was at your house, she asked to use the phone, is that correct? Or she was using the phone, correct?
She was on my girlfriend's phone.
She was on your girlfriend's phone, and could you tell she was talking to 911?
Yes.
And she was talking to 911. Did you take the phone from her?
Yes, I did.
You took the phone from her while she was trying to call 911, while she was speaking to 911, correct?
Yes, I did.
Objection, isn't she leading the witness, Your Honor?
She summarized something that's already been said.
And she was on the phone talking to 911, correct?
Correct.
And did you hear her give the name of a perpetrator?
Yes.
And what name did she give?
She said Senator Virgil Smith.
At that point, did you take the phone from her?
Yes.
And at that point, did you put her out of your house?
Yes, I did.
You are a friend of his, not hers, right?
Correct.
Now, she was attempting to get help, correct?
Objection.
I don't know.
Okay. She was calling the police, certainly you understood that, correct?
Objection, there's no calling of the police, there's just a call to 911, that's not the police.
Who is it?
911 is the 911 officer who receives calls for 911. They're not necessarily connected with the Detroit Police Department.
She didn't say what police department, either police.
No.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
She did not say, we did not say the police.
Okay. She did not say the police. But, sir, in your general experience and common sense, when you call 911, are you calling for Domino's Pizza Delivery?
I didn't call
Argumentative, objection, argumentative, Judge.
You wanted to make a distinction as to what 911 is, and she can go into it. That was your objection, so she can go into it and clear it up.
Under your common understanding, common sense, and general knowledge, when you call 911, are you generally calling for the police?
Or fire, or ambulance, or anything that's in harm.
You're calling for assistance and help, correct?
Sure.
Thank you. And when she was calling for assistance and help, you took the phone from her
Yes.
and you put her out.
Yes.
After you put her out, did you see Virgil Smith?
Yes.
And where do you see him at?
About another 20 minutes or so, he came knocking on the door.
He came knocking on the door,
Yes.
and at that point in time, did he ask you for some help?
Yes.
He said, I need your help.
Yes.
And when he said, I need your help, you went down to his house, is that correct?
Yes.
Did he tell you, strike that. You went down to his house, correct?
Yes.
Did you see Anistia's car?
Yes.
Had you had any knowledge about the state of Anistia's car before you went down to Virgil's house?
Yes.
Ms. Lindsay,
Excuse me, Mr. Smith's house.
thank you.
I'm sorry, Judge. And did you look at her car?
Yeah, I glassed out.
Could you tell whether there were bullet holes in the car?
Yes, there were holes in the car.
Approximately how many did you see?
Good. Windshield. Fender. Maybe four.
Did Mr. Smith tell you how those holes got in the car?
No.
Did you ask him how those holes got in the car?
No.
So if I get this straight, Anistia comes to your house, uses his phone, calls 911, you put her out, you have some information about something going on with the car. When you saw the car, did that confirm the information you had about what happened to the car?
No.
Didn't you have the information that there were bullet holes in the car?
My girlfriend came down and said that she saw holes in the car.
Okay. When you looked at the car, did you see what
Holes
appeared
in
to
the
be
car that
bullet?
she said, yeah. I
Did
saw the
you-
holes that she said she saw.
You have to let me finish that.
Oh, sorry.
Did it appear to be bullet holes in the car?
They could have, yeah.
And you're telling us that you didn't even once say, ma'am, what happened to the car?
Nope.
Okay. You didn't want to know?
Nope.
Okay. But you were there to help, correct?
Yes.
Did you see any shell casings?
No.
What do you do when you go to Mr. Smith's house?
Objection. What's the relevancy of going to Mr. Smith's house unless it's connected to some extent by this event?
This is what we're talking
He's
about.
a racist eyewitness, and
Yeah.
he is talking to someone who's charged with a crime. He can testify to what he did, because to prove a case, people can go into evidence of preceding an incident, which might show some motive, what happened, and how the person acted afterwards, which might be consistent or inconsistent with something occurring. You can go into that. This is immediately offense.
You had conversation with Mr. Smith, is that correct?
When he came down to my house, yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Smith ask you to call the police?
No.
Did he ask you for any help?
Yes.
Did he ask you for any type of assistance for any wounds he had or injuries?
No.
Did you see any wounds and injuries?
Wasn't looking. Did not know.
Okay, so you spent a considerable amount of time with him that night, is that correct? At least, did you spend at least 10 to 15 minutes with him?
Anytime it took me to walk down there and escort Kachi out of the house safely and then back home, yeah, that could have been 15.
Okay, and during that whole period of time, did you see any injuries on Mr. Smith?
Wasn't looking, no.
So the answer to the question is no, correct?
Didn't notice.
You didn't notice any injuries, correct?
Right.
Did Mr. Smith complain of any injuries?
His leg,
What did he say about his leg?
nothing, just said it hurt, but I didn't see he had pants on.
Okay, and did you put that in your statement?
No.
Thank you. There was a woman in his house, is that
Yes.
correct? And what did Mr. Smith ask you to do as it relates to that woman?
He asked me to help him get Tatiana out the house because she was scared and wouldn't leave the room.
At that point in time, did he ask you to call the police?
No.
Did you see Tatiana?
Yes.
In your presence, did she call the police?
I could not answer. I don't know.
In your presence, that means she's in your presence. Do you
Oh.
understand that?
No, she didn't say it in front of me.
Okay, so in your presence, she didn't call the police.
No, she just wanted to get out.
Okay. Did you see any shell casings?
No.
Did you remove any shell casings?
No.
Did you remove any guns?
No.
After you get Miss Tatiana out of the house, and by the way, do you know Tatiana?
Yes.
Okay. And you had met her previously?
Yes.
Had she been over to your house also?
Yes.
With Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the amount of time you saw Tatiana and the amount of times you saw Miss Thomas, would they have been roughly about the same?
Yes.
Okay. At any point in time when you were with Mr. Smith that night, did he ever say, "I need you to call the police"?
No.
I have nothing further this witness.
Now, when you testified that you saw Miss Thomas arrive at your front door. Correct.
That's her last name. Dave's wife came to
Yeah,
my front.
Anicia,
Yes.
as you know. Now, when you had a chance to look at her, right?
Yes.
Did she have blood all over her face?
No.
Did she have blood all over her clothes?
No.
Did you see whether or not her hands were scraped?
Yes.
Did you see her with any life-threatening injuries?
No.
Now, you had a chance to speak to her briefly, did you not?
Yes.
Did she ever say to you that Virgil Smith shot at me?
No.
Objection, Your Honor, he has to lay a foundation or else it's going to be hearsay off the truth of the matter, sir.
I'll rephrase, Judge. You previously testified that you heard some gunshots.
Yes.
And you testified that Anicia came to your front door.
Yes.
And you had a brief conversation with her.
Yes.
And you were able to observe some of these, her lip
Yes.
being busted. Is that all that you saw, her lip being
Yes.
busted? It wasn't blood all over her face, was it?
No.
Okay. Now, as a result of that conversation, did you draw any conclusions about whether or not she had been shot at?
Objection, Your Honor, that would be opinion evidence and it would be speculation.
Well,
How does an injury show if a person's been shot at? An injury might show if a
I'll
person's been
rephrase.
shot, but it certainly won't show if a person is.
I'll rephrase it, to make it clear. You heard some shots.
Yes.
She arrived at your front door.
Yes.
And as a result of those shots that you heard and her arriving at the front door, did you draw any conclusion as to whether or not those shots had anything to do with her?
Objection,
No.
Your Honor, what's the relevance of what his conclusion is about the shot?
Sir, whenever you hear objection, stop talking, okay? Do not answer. Counsel?
He testified.
No, he hears gunshots, and he draws a conclusion as to what occurred just by hearing gunshots?
Well, it's just not hearing gunshot. The young lady appears at his front door.
Okay.
The lady appears to have some injuries.
Okay.
And he
So
could
what
draw.
conclusion do you want him to draw?
I don't know. That's what I want to ask him.
How would that not be speculation?
It is speculation. How can, if I hear gunshots out on the side of my door and someone comes by, that's all I know. And that's all I can testify to. Not to what conclusions I draw from it.
Mr. Smith, did you have any discussion with Anicia about the gunshots?
No.
Now, you say that you had a chance to go down to Mr. Smith's house,
Yes.
correct? And you said you had an opportunity to look at the car.
Yes.
And I think you indicated that you saw some holes in the car.
Yes.
And am I correct that in your statement you said that you saw gunshots in the hood of the car?
Yes.
You also saw gunshots in the window?
Yes.
And I think you also testified that you saw gunshots in the headlights. Yep.
Quarter panel?
Quarter panel? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, was anybody in the car
No.
at that time? Was Anicia Thomas anywhere in the vicinity of the car at the time that you looked at it?
No.
Now, you say that Mr. Smith asked you to give him some assistance.
Yes.
And am I correct in your testimony that the assistance he wanted you to give was to assist him from getting Tatiana out of his house?
Yes.
And is that what you did?
Yes.
And did he tell you why you needed to help him get Tatiana out of the house?
Your Honor, this would be, he can't get his own client's admissions in under the rules of evidence.
Must be a part of your opponent, counsel.
Now, Judge, I believe he already testified to that on direct as a result of a question from direct. That he needed to help to get Tatiana out of the house because she was scared.
Okay. So what are you asking?
Well, I just want to, that door has been open.
No, what are you asking is the question.
Okay, all right, I'll ask the question.
Because, go ahead, ask the question and we'll make a determination if it is
Okay.
something that can be answered. Counsel, sir, do not answer the question until I hear the question.
Okay, all right. What was the purpose for you assisting Mr. Smith?
Your Honor, what was the purpose? That would be speculation as to what was in his mind. When I say his, I mean the defendant's mind.
I'm not asking about the defendant. I'm asking him what was his purpose for assisting Mr. Smith. Madam Prosecutor opened this area of questioning. I'm just simply asking what is his understanding of what was his purpose. He can testify as to his belief, and she opened this area.
And why is his belief relevant?
It's relevant because you asked, the prosecutor asked him, did Mr. Smith ask you to give assistance?
I'll hear.
Can you ask it again?
What was your purpose for? What was the in your mind? What was the purpose or reason for you giving assistance to Mr. Smith?
Tatiana would not leave the house because he asked and he wanted me to come down there and help get her, escort her out because she was scared to step out.
Objection, that portion, because she was scared to step out, would be speculation on his part, and it would be hearsay offered by the defendant for the truth of the matter asserted.
But the judge, you can hear that and judge the weight of that. It's his opinion.
No, I can only judge the weight of something that is admissible. If it is inadmissible hearsay, I can't judge the weight of it because it can't come in.
Well,
He can't testify to what is in someone else's mind. He's saying he's assisting because Tatiana was afraid. Now, how does he get to that?
he gets to there as a result of a conversation that he had with Mr. Smith, and as a result of that conversation, but I'm not asking him what the conversation with Mr. Smith is.
But counsel, you can't just ask a question and have someone draw a conclusion which is in someone else's mind, because he had in the mind of Tatiana, because he had a conversation with Mr. Smith. How can you do that?
Well, Judge, I'm not really offering it for the truth of the matter. It's to judge.
No, you can't come in. You can't talk to Mr. Smith to find out what is in the mind of Miss Tatiana. I don't know her last name. have to, he can't, Mr. Smith cannot testify or tell Mr. Cade what is in the mind of Ms. Tatiana Grant.
Okay, Mr. Cade, please tell us what you in fact did when you went to the house.
Went in, talked to her through the door, told her that everything was clear, that Anicia was not in the area. I would walk her to her car.
Did you walk her to the car?
Yes, I did.
Did you assist her into the car?
I just opened the garage door and she got in her own.
Did you have any impressions about her condition at that time?
No.
Did you open the garage door up?
Yes.
Where was your car located?
In the garage.
Could you see her car from outside looking into the garage?
No.
So let me make sure the record is clear on this. You had a conversation with Mr. Smith
Yes.
requesting assistance.
Ask and answer. I mean, at this point, he's been over that ground.
All right, Judge, I'll move on from that. Now, you were living with another young lady at that time, were you not?
Objection, Your Honor, is irrelevant.
Well-
Why is that relevant for a probable cause hearing?
Well, it's relevant because this witness was present in the house at the same time Mr. Cade was, and this witness had the encounter with the complaining witness at the same time that Mr. Cade, and I'm going to call this witness on my case.
Well, first and foremost, why is it relevant if he's living with anyone? You can ask who else is present. If it's a racist witness, you can ask that question. How is it relevant if they're living together or not?
All right. Did you observe, who is Shanta Grant?
My girlfriend.
Okay. Was she present in the home?
Yes.
Was she present when Miss Thomas came to the house?
Yes.
Was she present when discussions were had with Miss Thomas?
Yes.
Did it come the time that she left the house?
Yes.
Did it come a time that she came back to the house?
Yes.
Now, do you recall her having a conversation with Miss Thomas?
Yes.
At that time, did you recall Miss Thomas telling her?
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay. Can we go approach so you won't put anything on the record that should be
I
on the
withdraw
record?
that, Judge. Did you hear the conversation between Miss Thomas and your girlfriend Shanta?
Yes.
Objection is to relevance, whether he overheard a conversation. It's not foundational for impeachment.
Okay. Now, prosecutor, at this point, he can ask that question. He hasn't gone anything other than hearsay. He could be laying a foundation for something. I don't know. But certainly, he has not asked anything at this point that would be asking for something that would be inadmissible.
Did you personally draw any conclusion about that conversation?
Objection is to relevance. What his conclusion is about any conversation anybody has with anything, how is that relevant to a probable cause determination about whether this man committed any crime?
How is that relevant? If
Well-
people have a conversation and you ask,
I'll
what
rephrase.
conclusions did you draw from that?
I'll rephrase it, Judge.
Your
I'll
Honor,
rephrase
there's
it.
no rephrasing. That anything he's
I'll
seeking
rephrase
in that area is inadmissible.
I'll have to hear how he rephrased it. Sounds like he may be going someplace else. I don't know.
I'll go to another area. You had a chance to see Mr. Smith on that night, correct? Okay, was he drunk?
No.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to how he can make that conclusion, how he can make that assessment.
Well, counsel, I think with our common sense reasoning, we can look at someone and make a determination. There comes levels. There are some people that you might see that may be falling out drunk, and you can make a common sense assessment. Sometimes you can tell, you observe or you smell intoxicating liquors, and you may make some assessment. And that's something that we as rational people can do.
Okay, if he wants to open that door.
I have no idea where any of this is
Well,
going, so,
well.
but he can ask that question.
Just want to make clear that I won't say that. Okay. Did you smell alcohol on his breath?
No,
Did his eyes appear to be dilated?
no,
Did his eyes appear to be red?
no,
Was he stumbling around?
no,
Did you ever see Miss Thomas come down and attempt to drive the car?
what? No,
Did you ever attempt to drive the car?
no,
Did you see anybody attempt to drive the car?
yes,
Who was that?
my girlfriend,
Okay. And you were present when that happened?
yes,
Okay. Now, was that before Miss Thomas came to the door or after Miss Thomas came to the door?
after,
Now, when you say you were present when your girlfriend, Shanta, tried to drive the car, was Miss Thomas present? Was this before or after Shanta Grant came back to the house? Excuse me, your girlfriend came back to the house.
please ask me after.
Okay. I'm trying to make a determination if you were present at any time the car was driven or attempted to be driven.
Yes, I was at the house.
You were at the house.
Yes, I was at the house,
Okay. My question was at the car itself.
but like at the actual vehicle.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, okay. That clears it up for me. So you were not at the vehicle at the time it was attempted to be
no,
driven. And you did not personally see anybody attempt to drive.
no,
Your Honor, now I have everything stricken about him seeing his girlfriend trying to drive. I'll have it stricken because I'll ask it to be stricken.
I agree. I think he thought I was talking
I
about.
don't know what he thought.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
certainly he indicated he did not have personal knowledge of anyone trying to move the car, so all references to Ms. Tatiana Grant attempting to drive the car would be struck from the record.
Thank you, Your Honor. When Miss Thomas was at your house, did she make any complaints?
Objection, Your Honor. At this juncture, he's going to have to lay some type of foundation to get around the hearsay rule, which he has not done at this juncture.
Counsel, you respond? No.
I'll rephrase, Your Honor. Did you make references to what Anicia said to you in your statement to the police?
I'm sorry. Rephrase. Let me ask again.
In your statement to the police, did you make references to what Anicia said to you?
Yes.
Objection, relevance. What relevance is that?
Well, I haven't asked another question.
Well, if you're going to ask a question about what Ms. Thomas said, because it's in the statement, does not make it admissible in court. So just because he may have said something, it still has to be admissible and relevant today. So you can ask your preliminary questions, you're laying your foundation, or whatever it is that you need to go where you plan to go. But at this point, asking if we have a conversation with her, certainly, and the fact that it's in the statement does not make it admissible in court of law.
Okay. In your statement, you made some references to what Mr. Virgil Smith said to you, did you not?
Objection is irrelevant. As it relates to what Mr. Virgil, first of all, since just because it's in the statement does not make it admissible. And second of all, under Michigan rules of evidence, it's submission by a party opponent, which means if I can put it in if I choose, he can't put it in his own client statement in.
Mr. Dillard?
All right, Your Honor. All right, Your Honor, I have nothing. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Very well. Anything else, Ms. Lee?
Nothing further, Mr. Your Honor.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, you may step down, you're excused. You're free to go.
Who's next, please?
Before you sit down, ma'am. Before you sit, before you put your name. Thomas, I need you to raise your right hand. State your full name. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please have a seat in the chair, ma'am. Position that microphone so you're speaking directly into it.
Okay.
Thank you. Keep your voice strong. Your witness.
Ms. Thomas, good morning. I'm going to direct your attention back to the early morning hours of May 10th, 2015, at around 1 in the morning. Did you go to 18601 Wexford Street in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And who did you know to live there?
Virgil Smith.
And what was your relationship with Mr. Smith?
He is my ex-husband.
Okay. And currently, at the time of May 2015, had you guys resumed an intimate relationship?
Yes.
Now, tell me what happens once you get there.
When I get there,
Strike that. Let me back up a little bit. Had you two text back and forth all day?
yes.
And prior to you going there, was the last text that you sent to him something about you're really fucking up now or something of that nature?
Objection, that's leading, Your Honor. The direct statement as to what she said.
She asked, was that text? She didn't say your last text said this, didn't it?
I asked
It
what...
was a question. She can deny it. She can adopt it. She can say she doesn't remember. So it's not a leading question unless it suggests the answer. Because it's a direct question, does not make it leading.
And he did not respond to that text, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, he did not respond?
Yes, he did not.
Okay. You went over to his house on Wexford Street, is that correct?
Yes.
Tell me what happens once you arrive at West. No, let me back up. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Were you driving a vehicle?
Yes.
Could you describe the vehicle you were driving?
It was my 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLA 250.
You arrive at his house in that car, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Tell me what happens when you get there.
When I get there, I pull up behind his vehicle, which
And-
was a
Where was his vehicle?
it's on the side of the street.
Okay. You pull up behind his vehicle, and then what happens next?
I pull up behind that. I get out.
And where do you go?
I went to his bedroom window because I noticed that it was open.
Okay. You went to his bedroom window, and what happens?
I knock on the window, and then I say, "Kai."
You know middle name to be Kai, or?
I call him Kai.
Okay. Is that part of his name, though?
Yes, it's his middle name.
Okay. You always addressed him by his middle name?
Yes.
Okay. So you said Kai. What happens next?
Then he comes to the window.
Okay. And when he comes to the window, what happens? Do you have conversation through the window?
Yes. I noticed that he was,
Do you have conversation through the window?
yes.
Okay. That's what I'm asking
Okay.
about. After you had conversation by the window, what happens next?
He meets me at the side door.
Okay, so you go around to the side door from the window.
Yes.
Okay. Does he meet you at the side door?
Yes.
What happens next?
He opens the door.
Okay, then what happens?
He lets me in.
What happens?
I'm walking through the hallway.
And how much distance is the hallway to the bedroom?
Maybe about 8 steps.
Okay. And why were you headed to the bedroom?
Because our routine is when I pull up over there, he always helps me out with getting my belongings out of the car.
No, I'm asking you, were you walking to the bedroom because that you were planning on having relations with him?
Yes, and spending the night. Yes.
Okay. What happens next?
He tells me, he says the word Tatiana's here.
He says, Tatiana's here.
Yes.
Then what happens?
I walk into the bedroom.
Okay, do you make some observations in the bedroom?
Yes, I do.
What are the observations you make?
I see Tatiana in the bed.
Okay, and does some conversation ensue after that?
Yes, I went up to the bed.
And what happens when you go up to the bed?
I asked her if they are sleeping together.
Okay, wasn't that obvious to you at that point?
No.
Okay, what did you do?
After I asked her if they were sleeping together, she sat up and she said no.
Objection as to what she said.
Okay, I wasn't asking her what she said, but she just said it.
Well, I asked her to be stricken as you.
Oh, fine, I don't care.
No, we're striking that.
Okay, so you go up to the bed, you have conversation with her. Do you take some action after that?
After she said no, and she asked Kai,
Ma'am,
told me
don't
that,
tell me what
yes.
she said. I'm asking specifically what action did you take after that?
Yes, I snatched the sheet off of her.
You
Yes,
snatched
that's the
the
action.
sheet. Okay, you snatched the sheet off of her, and what did you see?
That she was naked.
Okay, and then what happens at that point?
At that point, Kai grabs me.
Okay, and what happens between you and Kai at this point?
We get into an altercation.
Let me stop you there. When you say Kai, do you see him seated in the courtroom anywhere today?
I do.
Could you point to him?
Right here.
Indicating for the record the witnesses identified the person of the defendant, Mr. Virgil Smith, Jr.
Michael was on the flag.
Okay. So what happened? You said you get into an altercation. What happens now?
From there, he pulls on me. We wrestle. He punches me in my face a few times.
So let me stop you. Is there a TV there?
There is. But he punches me in the face before we even encountered the TV.
Okay. So I'm going to get to that. So he punches you in the face. Are you standing? What happens?
We are standing and wrestling.
Okay.
Our hands engulfed in each other.
Does there ever come a point in time when you end up on the floor?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
After falling into the TV, he rams my head into the floor.
Okay. Okay, then what happens?
Then after that, he puts the back of his right arm into the back of my neck, and it basically stopped my breathing at that point.
Okay. Is he telling you to leave?
He is. He
Okay.
said he'll let me up
If you leave?
if I leave.
Okay. And do you say you'll leave?
Yes.
What happens next?
He kept punching me throughout my body at that point. I stumble up to leave.
Okay, so you're trying to get up to leave.
Trying to.
What happens?
He literally rams my head into the wall of the hallway. It's by the door, the hallway. My face hits the wall.
Okay. And do you get up?
I fall down.
Okay. Then what happens next?
Then he takes my arms again. He continues to force me and beats me down the hallway.
So down the hallway toward the door.
Towards the door.
Okay. And do you get out?
Yes, he opens the screen door and then pushes me out again.
Okay. And when you say pushes you out, when he pushes you out, do you fall?
I do. I fall over the railing and then my face hits the concrete.
Okay. So at this point, you're out of the house, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and does he go back in the house?
Yes, he does.
And when he goes back in the house, is your car still there?
Yes.
Okay. You don't go to your car and leave, do you?
No.
Okay. What do you do?
I go to the front of the house.
You go to the front of the house, and what happens at this point in time?
I pick up a wicker chair.
You pick up a wicker chair.
I threw it up in the air,
Okay.
and it hit the porch back
Okay.
down.
At the point in time you threw the wicker chair, it hit the porch. He was on the inside?
He comes right out. I hear him coming
Ma'am,
out. Yes.
listen to me. At the point in time you threw the chair, and it hit whatever it hit, he was on the inside?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened, and you're still on the outside of the house?
Yes.
Okay, what happens now?
He comes out on the side, from the side door.
He comes out from the side door, and could you see anything in his hands?
Yes, because I come to the side.
Okay. When you come to the side, what is it that you see?
I see him holding a big gun.
Okay.
In the air.
You saw him holding a big gun in the air. Was it a long gun?
Yes.
Had you seen that gun previously?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he tell you? Had he shown you that gun previously?
Yes.
And what did he tell you about that gun previously?
That it was an AR-15. He showed me where it was, where he kept it,
Where did he keep the AR-15?
under the bed.
Okay, he kept the AR-15 under the bed, and he told you that it was an AR-15. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did he tell you anything about the power of that gun?
Yes, that it was an assault weapon, that it could pierce through houses, it could take off someone's limb, arm.
Okay.
member
So
of
he
it.
comes out with that AR-15, or what he has described to you as the AR-15. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what, if anything, does he do at that point?
He starts shooting in the air.
First of all, he shoots it in the air, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when he shoots it in the air, does he do anything after he shoots it in the air?
Yes, he turns it towards me and starts shooting at me.
He turns it towards you,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
At that point, do you start to run?
I do.
Okay. And where do you run?
I run next door.
Okay, you run to the next door.
Yes.
And do you still hear shooting?
Not after he shot at me. No. No more shots.
Okay, you didn't hear anymore.
No more.
Okay. My question is, you didn't hear anymore.
No, I did not hear anymore.
Okay. Now, what do?
I run to the backyard to hide
Okay, and why is it you're running to hide?
because I could hear his footsteps and his voice coming closer.
Okay. Now, do you eventually make it down to Carlos Cade's house?
Yes, I run in and out down the street.
Okay. And you know Carlos Cade through the defendant, is that correct?
Yes, they are friends.
Okay. And what happens when you get to that house?
I bang on the door. Him and Shanta come to the door.
Hold on. Hold on.
Excuse me. Sorry. Where is it? It'll stop in a minute. Wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, sorry about that, Judge. Sorry about that, Judge.
Thank you. So you knock on the door of Carlos Cade.
Yes.
You had met him previously?
Yes.
Okay. And let me just ask you, Tatiana Grant, did you know her previously?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you get to Mr. Cade's house. At that point in time, what happens?
Him and Shanta open the door.
Do you go in?
I do.
Okay. And do you go to clean yourself up?
Yes.
Okay. At some point in time, while you're at Carlos Cade's house, do you retrieve a cell phone, or do you get a cell phone?
Shanta's cell phone, yes.
Okay. And what was your purpose for getting that cell phone?
Calling 911.
Okay. And when you were calling 911, were you calling 911 in Mr. Cade's presence?
Yes.
Okay. What happens when you start to tell 911 what was going on?
Mr. Cade snatches the phone from me and hangs up the phone on 911.
Okay. And then at that point, were you allowed to stay in the house?
No, he pushes me out and locks the door behind
Okay.
him.
And he pushes you out and locks the door. And previous to that, did you ask his girlfriend to go get your car?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you give her the keys?
Yes.
Okay, did she come back to the Cade house?
Yes, she did.
And when she came back, did she have your car with you?
No.
With her? Okay. Now, they put you out. When you're outside now, do you look and do you see Mr. Smith?
Yes, I do.
And where do you see Mr. Smith at?
On the sidewalk.
Okay, and what do you do at that point in time?
I start walking down the cross side street away
Okay,
from him.
you start walking away from him. And do you make it to some place else where there's some people?
Yes, I do.
Okay, now the people, the house that you made it to, did you know these people?
No.
Okay, did they allow you in?
Yes.
And did they keep you there and allow you to call 911?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the police come, is that correct, eventually?
Yes, they do.
And the police escort you back to Mr. Smith's house where your car is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you see the state of your car now?
Yes.
Could you tell me about the state of your car?
Multiple bullets in
bullet,
the car.
Bullet holes?
Bullet holes. There were bullets on the floor.
In the car?
In the car.
Okay.
Busted, shot through windshield glass. There were shots in the hood of the car and the headlights.
Okay. Were you able to, at that time, retrieve your cell phone from the car?
Yes.
Okay. Is that why you had to use Mr. Cade's cell phone and the stranger's phone because you had left your phone in the car?
Yes.
Nothing further, this witness?
All right. Okay. Okay. Good morning, Ms. Thomas.
Good morning.
Let me ask you, you normally communicate with Mr. Smith by text or telephone, isn't that correct?
Both.
Both, okay. And am I correct that your telephone number is 6?
We can't, let's not put it
You
on
don't
the
need to put
record.
that on the record, sir. You can show her something.
I will stipulate to whatever the
Fine.
text messages.
You stipulate to the
Yes.
Okay, good, okay. Okay. Ms. Thomas, let me ask you this. You turned your phone over to the Detroit Police Department, did you not?
Yes.
For them to what is commonly called
Your Honor, we'll stipulate that she turned her phone over for them to do a forensic exam, which is commonly referred to as telephone dumper.
Okay. Would you stipulate, Madam Prosecutor, as to the text messages that I want to make reference to?
Yes.
Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor, with the relevant text message? And I'd like to give the court a copy of the relevant. We'll be offering this as evidence so that the court can follow along. Okay, we'll have them marked. We call this exhibit number 1.
No, the court reporter marked.
Okay. Make sure I got all the pages. That and the telephone dump. May I approach the court would like the copy, or the court wants to look at it?
Copy is fine with you.
All right.
You want me to see it?
Yes, because I want you to follow along.
Very well.
That's the telephone dump, and this is the-
Okay, now, the problem is, I'll figure it out. So you have the items marked, is that correct?
Yes, they're marked here. A and B
All
are
right.
marked. A,
Just so I understand, what is marked as A?
A is the text message dump to the relevant period of May 9th,
So,
pages 800 to 797.
4 pages, correct?
Right.
And you say that's the
Text message
done.
done. Right.
All right, 4 pages.
And then we have the
And it's marked
telephone.
as what?
A. And we have page 41, which is the telephone dump, and it's marked as Exhibit B.
Very well.
And I'd like to hand those to the witness, if I may. I'd like to hand you, first of all, Exhibit A.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, I've given you let's start with Exhibit A, which is the text message dump. Now, you previously testified on direct examination that it was your understanding that you were supposed to have sexual relations with Mr. Smith that evening.
Yeah, spending the night.
Okay. And you communicated that encounter through the text messages, did you not?
I know that we did verbally.
Okay, well, okay, so are you saying that on May 9th, in the morning of May 9th, 2015, that you met personally with Mr. Smith?
No, we didn't meet that morning.
Okay, so you text messaged him that morning, did you not?
Yes, and he called me.
Okay, all right, well, let's just start with the text messages before we get to the call. All right, Exhibit A. Now, if you would look at note number 338 on page 800. Okay? Now, in that message, you're texting to Mr. Smith at approximately 7:27 in the morning. Is that correct?
Your Honor, let's have the times because you have to use it as UTC minus 4, because the whole time.
Okay, I'll do that. 7:27 and 39 seconds a.m. UTC 4.
Minus 4.
Minus 4. Or hyphen, whatever. Is it minus 4? It's fine.
Minus 4.
Okay, minus 4. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And you say to him, are you going to the Jeff Jack dinner?
Jeff, you have to read it.
Are you going to the Jeff Jack dinner?
Jeff.
Jeff.
You have to read it as it is printed on the page. That's not Jack, it's Jeff.
Oh, okay. Are you going to the Jeff Jack dinner?
Yes.
Did you, you meant to say the Democratic Party's Jefferson Jack dinner, right?
Yes.
And so that was a misspelling on your part in the text, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and he tells you no, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. If he's using this exhibit to put the text messages in.
Right.
The exhibit on the text message does not say that. He has to do it from the text message.
I stand corrected. Look at note 333. From Mr. Smith. That's on May 9, 2015 at 8:24:55 a.m. UTC minus 4 from K. Smith Virgil. And he says no, right?
Right.
Now, after the conversation about the Jefferson Jack dinner, you have a discussion about Ms. Talib looking at note 326. Now, this message is sent by you to Mr. Smith. 5/9/2015 at 8:15 a.m.
Counsel, I got to say this because you're jumping all over the text messages with a response, and we don't even know what the question is. I don't know how to take that in context.
Okay.
If the last question you asked about the dinner, and the answer was no, but I don't even know what the previous question was. The question prior to that is it even a dinner this year? There's no info on it, and the answer was no. But if you just give me an answer, to a one-liner to a question, I mean, an answer to a question, I don't know what the question is, there is no context in which I can look at it and draw and make any assessment of what we're doing.
Okay, Judge, I apologize that what I was attempting trying to do is to limit the number of text messages we had to go. I understand that now. I understand. So I will go step by step. I tried to for judicial economy, but okay. All right, let's go back to 338.
Your Honor, at this juncture, I'm going to object as to specific relevance, as to specific. He has a point he's trying to make, or he wants to put out.
Yeah.
I have no objection to him pointing out a specific text message. I have no objection of him making a point. But to read all the text messages that they had during that day is simply not relevant.
And that's what I was trying to avoid.
Except that you were giving me an answer of no.
Okay.
I don't know what the no is.
I understand.
So it doesn't help me at all.
All right. I'll get...
Something specific you want to go into?
I agree to that. I will agree to that. Now, I want you to look at note number 319 and note 313. These are messages from Mr. Smith. Okay? I want you, now, between 313 and 319, isn't it true that you sent a text message that you erased from your telephone between those two calls?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Your Honor,
Between those two calls.
Your Honor,
Bet-
at this juncture, if he has evidence, he has not shared it with me.
I'll do that.
Which is one of the things we talked about earlier.
Counsel, first of all, if you want to go into something, you either want to impeach this witness or you want to do something of that nature, first you have to ask the question that you want to go into. Then if you have something to suggest that that answer is not honest or truthful, and you have something that you can use to impeach the witness with, then you have to do that. But you have to start with a question to the witness first and foremost.
And additionally, anything he's going to use that has not been authenticated, I object to. The cell phone dump has been authenticated because it's a forensic cell phone dump. If he is going to attempt to use anything from Mr. Virgil Smith's phone that has not been authenticated, I'm going to object because there's no way for us to tell it is what it purports to be. Plus, he didn't share that beforehand. So unless he can get over the hurdle of authentication.
First of all, just let me know where you're going first, because I have no idea.
Okay. Okay. What, Your Honor, we have a situation here where it is based on looking at the telephone, the cell phone of Mr. Smith, and comparing the text dump. The entries are exactly the same, have the exact same information, exact same time, except that there is one communication from this witness that is not present. And we want to impeach her because it is our position, and I wanted to ask her, did she erase that message from the cell phone prior to turning over the phone to the police?
Okay, well.
And once again, anything he's using that comes from Mr. Virgil Smith's cell phone is not properly authenticated. I would object. Furthermore, we have been in communication for the last couple of weeks. He did not put me on notice that he was using anything like that. I would object. No authentication, not supplied to me in discovery.
Well, there's a couple of things that's going on. First, you indicated that you want to impeach with a statement. One, there is facts not in evidence. Certainly, if there is something as the prosecution has indicated that can be authenticated, because one, the cell phone dump that I have here, I certainly don't know, because we don't have a record to identify today, that all the information, even if I delete something off my telephone, does that delete it off the records that would come from the source, if it be Verizon or Sprint or whatever? I don't know that. deleting it off my phone would actually delete a record that is a computerized record with the company. So certainly, if it's not on here, I don't know that any individual person can affect that. And two, if you have a phone that is showing something different, I don't know where it came from, how it comes from. If in fact there can be some type of glitches in the system where I text someone, they don't get it, or it shows up in one place and not the other. These are all matters, these are things that, one, is a reason that if discovery is mutual, these things can be shared and they can be checked out and verified or what have you. But certainly to pull out a phone now and say that there's information on that phone that is inconsistent with a forensic dump, a forensic examination of Ms. Smith's telephone, as opposed to I'm just going to hand you my phone and I don't know how the information arrived on it. I don't know what you're asking me to do, Counsel.
Okay, I'm just going to ask her a specific question,
Your Honor,
and we can tie it up later on at another time.
Well, no.
You can't, first of all, it has to be legally admissible at this point. Anything he has in that cell phone is not legally admissible because it has not been authenticated.
Yes.
Well,
Hold on for a second. Let me respond. That is absolutely correct, Ms. Williams. You can ask the question, did you delete any information? He cannot impeach now with something that is not admissible, but he can ask her the question.
okay.
So.
All right, Ms. Thomas, on May 9th, at approximately 9 a.m. and 9 seconds, did you text Mr. Smith with the following statement? Definitely want you to dick me down today and tonight. Did you do that? Did you make that text message?
Yes.
Did you erase that text message from your cell phone
Yes.
prior to delivering it to the police?
Yes.
You destroyed evidence, did you?
No.
Now, let's go back to the text messages. Now, the last time you communicated with Mr. Smith on that day was at 8:34 p.m., note 232. And that note would be on page 798.
No, we talked after that.
Okay.
That's not the last communication.
Okay. So but my question is that the last communication that you got from Mr. Smith?
Also, she said they talked, they didn't text.
Okay. That's the last text that you got from Mr. Smith.
What year line are you on?
You texted him note 232 on page 798 at 8:34 p.m. 35 seconds p.m. UTC -4. You text to Mr. Smith, quote, I hit you up. And I'm asking you, is that the last text message?
I'm looking.
You're gonna have to tell.
Yeah, to speed it up, Judge. I just
Yeah.
want to show
Thank
you
you.
exactly where it was.
From what I see, yes.
That's the last text communication that you sent to Mr. Smith, correct?
Yes. From the-
But you sent him another text message at 10:22:34 p.m., and that's note 230 on page 797 at the bottom of the page.
Yes.
You never received a follow-up text from Mr. Smith, did
Can
you?
we have what?
Page, okay.
Can we have what the message is?
Okay, yeah. The message 59 2015, 10 p.m., 22.
What number was it?
That would be 2:30 on page 797. It's at the bottom of the page.
All right.
The bottom of the page. 10:22, 34 p.m. UTC -4 to Virgil K. Smith. To K. Smith Virgil. Call me when you on the way home. I will meet you there. Okay. Did you receive any text message from Mr. Smith after that?
No.
Okay. Now, you all, however, sent a final text message to him, and that's 228, page 797 again, at 12:15, 19 a.m. in the morning, 5/10/2015, 12:15, 19 a.m. in the morning, you sent the message to him saying, you are fucking up.
Yes.
Now, were you at the house when you said that?
No.
Okay. You were not at the house when you sent that?
No.
Okay. Now, you
When you say
sent,
house counsel, what house are you referring to?
were you at Virgil Smith's house when you sent that text message?
No.
12:15, right?
Yes.
Now, are you sure about that?
I am sure I was not at the house.
Now, you sent one other message relevant to this evening, and that was message number 217, right above the, going up there on page 797 at 5/10/2015, at 7 a.m., 6 seconds, a.m., UTC -4,
Okay.
to a Mr. Wilson Perry,
I'm
didn't you?
going to object to anything going to anybody else.
Yeah, how's it relevant?
Well, if you go on and see, it makes reference to what she says about Miss Tatiana Grant, the lady that's in the bedroom.
Yeah, but.
Fine, I'll deal with it later, Judge. I'll deal with it later, Judge. All right, Judge, I'll deal with it later. Now, let's go to the telephone dump. You said that you called him, right?
When you're referencing when I called him, when are you referencing?
On the day of May 9th, 2015. You called him. Let's look at Exhibit B. You said that we just discussed the text messages, correct? And now we're going to talk about the telephone call. Page 41. The May 9th calls start at number 29, and it goes backwards to 25. The calls that you made from your cell phone. Number 29, you made a call to Shatiana Gatson, right? I'll rephrase that.
We will stipulate the same time that there are no call activity between her and Virgil Smith on that day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Reflected in the cell phone dump.
Well, I don't, what I see stopped at 6:50.
We're just, the telephone dump, Judge, only goes to what occurred on May 9th. The time period in which the witness says that outside the text messages, she called Mr. Smith and made arrangements.
I heard her say talk on the phone. I didn't hear her say she called.
Did you telephone Mr. Smith on May 9th?
Yes.
On what phone?
On my cell phone.
You called him.
We called each other throughout the day.
Okay. I'm asking on May 9th, you called him.
Yes.
And you're looking at the telephone dump.
This telephone dump does not show the actual activity between Virgil Smith and I.
Okay. So you're saying the Detroit Police Department Computer Forensic Department's dump is in error?
Objection.
No.
Question, argumentative.
What she said was it doesn't reflect on that, counsel. She can't testify to the qualifications, procedures, or anything else that anybody else has done. She said it doesn't reflect on it. That's all she can testify to.
Do you have any evidence to establish that you called Mr. Smith on May 9th?
There's phone records, yes.
Whose phone records?
Current phone records that I have.
Related to what phone?
My cell phone.
This phone that we're talking about here?
My cell phone, yes. To his 207 number.
Okay. All right. Now, okay. Just a moment, Judge. I gotta make sure I got all my papers. Sorry for the confusion, Your Honor. Okay, now I got it. Okay, now let's go to the house. You arrived at the house at approximately what time?
I arrived after midnight. Don't know the exact time.
Now, there is a pattern to where you park your car when you come to visit Mr. Smith, isn't there?
Yes.
And that is in the garage, correct?
The pattern is on the side first.
And then you move to the garage.
Virgil moved my car to the garage.
Okay. But at some point, your car ends up in the garage.
Yes,
And Virgil's car remains outside. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Now, when you arrived at approximately midnight, you noticed, did you not, that Virgil's car was on the street?
Yes,
And you had previously indicated that you were coming there for the purpose of having sex, right?
spending the night.
Pardon me?
Spending the night. That was our routine.
You're still denying the, you said that you,
This time you should be
all right.
exclusive, counsel.
Pardon me? Okay, you arrive at the house, right? And you notice that his car is sitting outside, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Now, normally he parks his car inside, doesn't he?
No,
Okay.
not when I'm spending the night, no.
Okay,
Because he has a van in the garage.
okay. So, you didn't go to the front door, did you?
No, we never opened the front door.
Okay, you went to the window.
Yes,
And you knew that that window was his bedroom.
yes,
Now, I assume when you normally visit him at night, you normally go and knock on the window, don't you?
no,
Okay, but on this occasion, you knocked on the window.
yes,
Now, and this was after you had text that he was fucking up, right?
yes,
So you suspected that there was another woman there, correct?
no,
Okay. Now, is it correct that you did not, I want you to hear me clear. You did not bang on the window, right?
no,
Okay. You did not scream obscenities.
no,
You did not threaten to kill the bitch.
no,
Just so we can make this record very, very clear, you're asking a question in the negative and the response is negative, which actually creates two negatives of positive. These things he said, is it correct what he's saying? When he said you did not scream obscenity, is that correct?
that is correct, yes, Your Honor, thank you.
I just want to make the record clear.
Okay.
She can be saying, no, I didn't say that, or no, I didn't, and I don't know. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to interrupt your floor. I just want to make the record clear.
And Judge, I just want to make clear, I'm going to tie this up
No,
with the other witness.
I'm not
Okay.
trying to
Okay. Now,
your direction or anything like that. It's just that a person can be saying, no, that didn't happen, or no, that's not true. So when they just say no to a question, that is negative and perfectly. So.
I'll make it clear. Did you say, I'm going to kill that bitch?
No, I did not.
Did you say that you're going to fuck that bitch up?
No.
Okay.
Your Honor, I'm going to, at this juncture, I want to approach and see, because in order to ask these questions, you have to have a good faith basis to ask these questions.
Well, there could be a good faith basis. That could be communication with his client. So.
Well, then the only way it can come in is through his client.
No,
at this
he
juncture.
can ask the question.
Okay.
Did she say that? He
Okay.
can do that.
Okay. I want to show you a photograph of the side of the house and see if that reasonably reflects the side of Virgil Smith's house.
Yes, it does. That's the side.
You don't have that mark, sir?
Yeah, of course, the bench
Well, you didn't ask if it's being admitted, if there's an objection.
Well, I'm
then
just
you can
asking.
publish it, so.
Okay. All right.
If there's no objection from the people, I'll see it.
No objection.
Now, in looking at this photo, would I be correct that the two windows to the left, the second window to the left of the front door is the bedroom door?
Well, I need some understanding of what I'm looking at. I see a
Okay,
door. Is
all
that
right.
the front door? Is that the side
Okay,
door?
is this the side door of Mr. Smith's house?
Yes.
Is this the side of the house that you first approached when you arrived on the evening or early morning of May 10th?
Yes.
And looking at, and does this picture reflect how the house looks on the side?
Yes.
Okay. And the second window to the left, is not that the bedroom window?
From this picture, the furthest window to the left is the bedroom.
Okay. Now, that's the window that you banged on, didn't you?
I did not bang on the window.
Okay. That's the window that you first went to.
Yes.
And that's the bedroom of Virgil Smith.
Yes, it is.
Because you've been in the bedroom.
Yes, I have.
Okay. Now, so the first contact that you had with Mr. Smith on that morning was at this bedroom window.
Yes.
And you went up to it and called him out, right? Or called him.
I called his name.
Okay. Now, isn't it true that you opened that window?
No.
Isn't it true that you attempted to enter the window?
No.
Okay, now let's go to the second contact that you had with Mr. Smith. Now, let me back up a minute. I'll go for it. The second contact. This is when you went to the side door, right?
Yes. Yes.
And that's the door that's reflected in Defendant's Exhibit C, correct?
Yes.
And it has a metal gate on it in front of the door, doesn't it?
It has a metal screen door.
Right. And then it has an interior door, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Now, so you go to the side door, and Mr. Smith just appears at the side door?
Yes, he opens the door.
Okay. And you pushed your way through, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You did not. You did not push your way through the door?
No, I did not.
You did not think there was a woman in the house?
No, I did not.
You did not run to the bedroom?
No, I did not.
You did not run into the bedroom and attempt to attack the young lady in the bed?
No, I did not.
You did not approach the woman in the bed and yank the clothes, the cover off of her, off the bed?
I yanked the cover off of her.
And to expose her naked?
I did do that, yes.
Why did you do that?
Because she told me she wasn't sleeping with him,
Oh.
and I did not believe her.
Oh, she told you that she was not sleeping with him.
Yes, she did.
But once you saw her naked, did you draw any conclusion as to her truthfulness or not?
I did.
Okay. And you thought she was sleeping with him.
Yes, I did.
And you became angry.
I was upset.
And you attacked her.
No, I did not.
Did you not force her up into the corner of the bed?
No.
Now, while all of this is happening, I assume Mr. Smith was following you.
No. At that point, Mr. Smith was attacking me.
Okay, so you go first through the door past Mr. Smith, correct?
Okay, Judge. Objection, asked and answered, repetitive.
No, I'm trying to establish the location of Mr. Smith now.
That's not what he started backwards with her actions.
I understand.
This court is a very intelligent court. I think the court can catch the testimony first time.
I did hear your question and her answer.
Okay. Now, when you came through the door, you did not stop and have a conversation with Mr. Smith, did you?
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying that Mr. Smith just invited you in?
He let me in. Yes, he did.
Oh, he let you in. When you say let you in, that means he opened the door.
He opened both doors.
And you stepped in.
Yes.
Okay. Did he say, come in, please?
He said, Tatiana's here.
Okay. And then you stepped through the door.
I was already inside already.
All right. And you went past him.
I was already past him. when he
Okay.
told me that.
So you...
Counsel,
Okay.
you have to let her answer.
All right. So you were already past him?
I was already walking in the house before he said anything.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm just trying to get the location.
Sure.
He opens the door. You walk past him.
Mhm.
He's behind you.
Mhm.
And
You have to say yes.
Yes, I'm sorry.
he's behind you.
Yes.
You didn't go into the living room, did you?
No.
You didn't go into the kitchen, did you?
No.
You didn't go upstairs, did you?
No.
You went to the bedroom.
Yes.
And you were running.
No.
Okay. And you ran in, you
Counsel,
walked.
you've answered that question
Okay.
3 times.
Okay. So you're in the bedroom now.
Yes.
Mr. Smith is behind you.
Yes.
And in fact, after you had the conversation with the lady in the bed is when he grabbed you.
Yes.
And that was after you had pulled the cover back off of the young lady
Yes.
and exposed her as naked.
Yes.
He grabbed you from behind
Yes.
and pulled you back.
Turn me over.
Okay. He pulled you back.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. She gave the
She
answer.
gave the answer. You cannot change your answer, counsel.
He turned you over. He was attempting to remove you from the bedroom, was he not?
Yes.
Because he had not given you permission to enter the bedroom, had he?
That's true.
Oh, he gave you permission to enter the bedroom with another woman in the bed naked?
He let me in the house.
My question, did he give you permission to go into the bedroom where another woman was naked in his bed?
He did not stop me.
He did not stop you?
No.
Okay. He grabbed you then.
He didn't grab me at all.
Oh.
He didn't make any attempts to stop me.
All the time that you were in the bedroom, he made no attempt to stop you?
That was the mischaracterization.
That was not the question. And the answer she gave to a different question.
Did he grab you in the bedroom?
He grabbed me after I yanked the sheets off of Tatiana.
And he pulled you backwards?
Objection, that's a mischaracterization of what you said. You said you turned him around. Counsel cannot change the answers to the question.
Counsel already indicated that. She gives an answer. You can't change her answer. You can ask questions. Her answers are her answers. If you like it or not, it is her answers.
A struggle ensued.
Yes.
You in fact fell over the TV.
Yes. We both did.
Because he was attempting to remove you from the bedroom.
He had punched me after that.
I'm just answer my question, please. Because he was attempting to remove you from the bedroom.
Yes.
Because you did not want to leave the bedroom on your own.
No.
You wanted...
That did not occur, or you did not... Ask questions again, counsel, because I don't understand that.
You could have left that bedroom immediately when you saw that young lady in the bed. Could you have?
No, I could not.
Who was stopping you from leaving the bedroom?
Virgil.
So you're now saying that Virgil Smith is restricting you from leaving the bedroom?
He had me completely controlled, so yes.
Completely controlled.
I could not walk away. He had my legs, he also had my arms.
And that's because...
Excuse me one second. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, this is a court of law. This is not a source of entertainment. Anybody who has anything to say, make any reference, comment, laugh, leave. This is serious. This is not something for your entertainment. So if you cannot maintain a sense of decorum, then leave. If you do it again, you will be removed. I apologize, Mr. Stewart.
Okay. I'd like for you to see if you recognize this photo.
Yeah, that's his bed.
Okay. I'd like to have that marked, please.
Photograph of the bed, and that's going to have some evidentiary value?
Yes, the condition of the bed.
Yes, I can. Yep.